Hey, Emma.
Yes, Madelyn.
How would you describe the experience of playing a good video game, or maybe the experience of listening to a good video game podcast about two games and then a mashup?
I don't know.
So much fun. Talk this.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
I'm your, aren't you glad I built up that joke for 3 weeks, host Madelyn?
I'm your soup for you, host Emma.
You're no soup for you.
No, you get the soup.
No.
The bad soup.
I know, but no soup. No soup for me. Thanks for tuning in to this week's show, the last main edition of Talk This of 2025.
Yep.
Crazy. This week we're talking about SOMA, and we're talking about Road to Empress. So, a live action horror game coming at the end.
There's definitely been a few of those already.
And one more that we will make up.
The Radiohead guy released one this year.
A live action horror game?
It has, at least with FMV parts.
Did Radiohead do music for it?
I don't know. Maybe, I think it was Radiohead. I'd have to double check that.
I feel like I would have heard about that, but
it was with the Spec Ops guy.
It was the 9 Inch Nails guy.
Oh, same thing.
I was like, that's crazy. Tom York did an FMV horror game? Creepy. Anyway, we're not there yet. The FMV comes in the second half of the episode. We gotta talk about SOMA first. So we talked about Amnesia: The Dark Descent on the show before.
A while ago, I think.
I mean, yes. The show is long running. So...
Yeah. But I mean, I feel like they take big breaks in between games.
That's true. There have been a bunch of Amnesia games, but I think
not
some
all
of them
made,
have been outsourced.
Yeah.
So SOMA is a game from Frictional Games, 2015. I mean, it is survival horror, but the survival horror part of it is maybe not as good as the existential dread of it all. Yes, from Frictional, who made before this Amnesia: The Dark Descent, which is also a horror game, although that one is like a gothic horror game, and this is more of like a it's the future and everyone's dead horror game.
Yes.
It was released for all computer systems and PlayStation 4, and then in 2017 for Xbox One, and then this summer when Frictional did like a, here's all the games we've made for the Switch situation, it came to the Switch. And it's about, consciousness, and sort of about robots, and certainly about being in an underwater facility and being scared.
That's a pretty weak lore corner, man.
Do you want I can give the full lore corner. That was just kind of the overview. I'm ready. Okay. This is another one of those games, though, that gets the review treatment of, I shouldn't tell you too much about this game. You should just play it.
Well, I do think that's true for most horror, to be fair.
Sure. And that's fair. Every time I notice it now, I go, huh.
Yeah.
That's a genre of game.
Sure.
No spoiler review vanias. Light on detail vanias. Anyway, in SOMA, I'll give the start of the lore corner, I guess, and then I'll give the beware spoilers lore corner. So in SOMA, you play as Simon Jarrett. You awaken in an underwater research facility called Pathos 2, which is somewhere in the North Atlantic Ocean. I don't think this part is a spoil. Like, maybe the first semi-twist is that Simon had in the year 2015, like, he got into some kind of, I think, car crash or accident where his brain was hurt, and did sort of an experimental brain imaging thing, and you see that happen, and then he wakes up in Pathos. And you discover during the game that, like, almost 100 years have passed, and bad things have happened to humanity.
Sure.
So I don't really, it's always hard for me when it's like, oh, like, what's the big spoiler here? But basically, I guess spoilers abound now. A comet hit Earth since 2015, and everybody except what appears to be the residents of this underwater research facility are dead. But we discover over the course of the game that some of the things we think are humans, like early in the game you meet a character named Catherine, sort of over communications, who's trying to guide you to theoretically where the people are. We discover that basically everything we're interacting with, Catherine included, are robots. Or even more specifically, are like... Simon really has been uploaded into like a corpse, but we have like AI, or we have like data backups of people's consciousnesses that have then been uploaded into other things. And so we have a lot of philosophical questions in this game about like, what does it mean to be human? Or what does it mean to kill something that isn't really human but thinks it's a human? And it gets you thinking about things and feeling some dread.
Sure.
Anyway, over the course of the game, you discover that basically like the AI system that controls Pathos, called the Warden Unit, like has made the decision that like humans aren't necessary and any human-y things that we have here are just to do labor. And Simon is working to take the human consciousnesses that are in this black box called the Ark and send that to space so that those, like, even if, spoiler, ultimately this version of Simon is not able to experience that because his consciousness is here and he can't upload his physical body to space, right? All of these other kind of, like, people data backups can be loaded into other things in space and then live happily. A lot of quandaries to consider. Also, some monsters.
Yes. The funny thing about this lore corner is in like all the interviews about Soma's story and stuff, they're very much stressing like we approached it so that even if you did not freaking engage with any of the stuff that we put around, you get the general gist of what's going on, but also trying to make you like like they talk about it being a present tense story. Mm-hmm. Like even though there's all this sort of lore that happened, they mostly want the player to be experiencing it rather than being told it. Which I thought was interesting. And it's not like they have audio logs and papers and the monsters make noises and whatever. And there's environmental storytelling happening, but they also don't necessarily care. Well, they care if you don't engage with it, but they tried to make it so that even if you were just not the player who's interested in that, you get the gist of what they're going for with the story.
I mean, it's a reaction to a certain horror game trope, right? Which is that you really don't get any of the story unless you're listening to the audio logs, or you don't get anything other than like the very basic monster bad, get out of here story.
I mean, I do also wonder how much of it is a response to like how Amnesia was actually engaged with. Mm-hmm. You know, like that was like very much tied into the early like PewDiePie video content creator, people being scared type content. And so if that's like the bread and butter of people who are going to be making content around your game, even if you want to tell this story, but you have to be aware that the way they're going to engage with it is just like they're not reading that for their viewers right at this point.
Yeah, you need to hit those story beats hard in the things that they're actually going to display.
Yes.
Especially in a game like this where so much of the horror is more, I mean, again, there are monsters still, but much of the horror here is more intellectual, slow burn stuff. And they talk about this a lot, about how this is a different kind of horror game to a certain extent, or they tried to make a different kind of horror game than Amnesia, which by all, reviews basis is the quote unquote scarier game. This game just sort of like makes you think about what your brain is in a way that is maybe scary on a different level.
Yes. Yeah, I did find it interesting. The reviews I did read were mostly sort of negative on the monsters.
Yeah.
In this experience, and a couple of them were like, it feels sort of like a holdover from Amnesia, like people expect this, and so they have it in there even though it doesn't necessarily suit the thing. And what I learned, actually, because they announced a new game at the Game Awards on TOS, and one of the posts I saw about it was like, I can't wait till 2 years after it's released when they make it so the monsters don't notice you, and it's then my favorite game of all time.
Right.
Because with the Xbox release, they also added I think it's a safe mode.
Yes, the original mod was called Wuss mode, but the official one is safe mode.
Yes, there had been a mod for this too that essentially makes the monsters ignore you. And I think in their official one, they talked also a little bit about, like, they tried to think about, like, what the monsters would be doing if they weren't looking for you, too. So they made adjustments to the actual enemy behavior beyond just they don't kill you.
Yeah.
Which, because they were making an Xbox port, it was a good excuse to go back and make that, it sounded like. But people, like, it's an interesting thing, right?
Yeah, it's a difficult challenge, and the way the devs seem to talk about the safe mode was, they said in a few interviews, you know, we sort of considered making this an option from the beginning, but we didn't really believe that without the monsters that people would be scared, right? That was something that needed to be there for this to successfully be a, you know, quote-unquote horror game. And it was only through seeing this, like, very popular Wuss mode mod that they said, oh, in looking at this, like, actually it's still scary. Like, the monsters just kind of milling around in an unsettling way is still scary. And people are still freaked out by the game, even when they're not being hunted down by underwater monsters.
Yes.
So it was interesting to see, like, they didn't believe it would work. It's a hard line to walk. What's gonna work in the horror space.
Yeah.
So, especially if you're trying to make something, because the jump scare is such a core part in games, especially, I think, because of streaming culture. You know, you could definitely make a psychological horror psychological horror movie, right? That's an established genre. But a psychological horror game is asking something different of that audience that I understand why they were skeptical of being able to offer, particularly given that they had just made Amnesia, not like just made, their previous game was Amnesia, and they knew that everyone would be expecting that. It's a tough little box to be in, for sure.
Their new game seems to be, like, going full in on the psychological.
But I think you can do that now. I think this was at a...
I mean, there clearly is stuff that attacks you. I don't know if it can kill you yet.
Yeah.
But very freaky, glitchy type stuff in the new trailer. So it'll be interesting to see whether they have something like safe mode built in from the start on these sorts of projects, or if it will come later, or if they think it doesn't suit the new game that they're making.
It'll be interesting. I mean, it'll be an interesting picture into how the genre has evolved in the past 10 years to see what they do. Because they could just say there are not going to be monsters. And that'd be a dice roll, but could work. We shall see. There was a fun quote on one of their, like, dev blogs about the existential horror of it. So, there was a question to one of the writers, Ian Thomas. They asked, did the existential dread of SOMA ever get to the team? And he said, it's a little different for the dev team, as the horror is a slow burn of months and months, whereas for the players, it comes in a short burst. The philosophical questions affected people in different ways, but I don't think we broke anyone. As far as I know, we're all fine, but given that a lot of us work remotely, it could well be that one of us is deep in northern Sweden and scribing magical circles in front of his room, and we just don't know. So, unclear how they were affected by thinking about this for years.
Yeah.
But yes, the actual survivor horror of it was kind of less successful, perhaps. But still a game that sold very well and was very well reviewed.
I also liked, considering that this is a game about consciousness on some level, you know, I can't play first-person games, really. At least certainly not ones that require me to move quickly at all, because it makes me motion sick.
Yeah.
So mostly none of them. Like, maybe Blueprints is the most I can do for first-person games, right? But there were some quotes. I don't remember exactly which interview I pulled it from, but I think it was Thomas Grip, the creative director, talking about, like, third person versus first person. And even, like, they said that, like, third person in some ways is superior, because you're able to connect to the player better and, like, what they are, the characters, I'm sorry, connect to the character better and what they're going through. But because Soma is about consciousness, they want to sort of put you in it more fully, and also do some things with, like, the UI elements and all this sort of stuff of, like, because because of the theming, they specifically chose first person to fit with what they were trying to do, which I feel like is more thought than sometimes goes into.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense given what this game is about, and particularly as you get close to the end and it's like, you know, do you mercy kill the body that you were in, right? Or how sad are you that you are stuck here while your consciousness is, spoiler, now in space, or your other version of your consciousness.
Yeah.
The first person definitely serves that.
I was also thinking about, like, you know, Resident Evil 9 is coming out next year, and they just revealed Leon Kennedy is in it, doing his RE4 action things.
Sure.
But before that, they've been talking about, so, like, the most recent Resident Evils have been first person, right? And this one they've been talking about, you can switch. You can choose whether you want to play
That's so interesting.
first or third. And there'll also be a mode that's, like, based on what the developer thinks is most effective in this. And I've been thinking, like, I wonder if all of Grace, the female protagonist sections, like, the suggested thing will be first person, because those are more psychological.
Yeah.
She's a fraidy cat. She's running around scared. And then all of Leon's will be third person,
so you can look
action
at Leon.
oriented, so you can watch him kicking.
Yeah. It's a good theory.
And just sort of thinking about the perspective in horror games and the different genres that those are expected.
Yeah.
The different genres of horror where certain perspectives might be expected.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're thinking about, I mean, obviously jump scares are always going to be more effective in first person, right? So a lot of kind of core mechanics that rely on one or the other. Did you know that there's a live action prequel miniseries?
I did not. That's fun.
That they did as a promo for this, which I thought was a nice it's going to end up being a nice crossover.
That's true.
With our other game.
Yeah.
It is apparently not, like, perfectly canonically accurate, but yes, they did a lot of, like,
I don't think marketing needs to be, honestly.
Sure.
That's my take.
Yeah.
If you're gonna make a special thing, or like an ARG,
yeah,
I don't think those have to be canonically accurate, actually.
Noted.
That's my take.
Did you know also they recorded 2,000 different footstep sounds?
Yes, I did think, again, an interesting approach of, like, wanting you to feel in it and realistic. And so they collected lots of actual stuff in, like, different settings. So, like, footsteps. They have footsteps in large rooms, in medium rooms, in small rooms. Yeah. When for a lot of games, what you would do is apply an effect.
10 footsteps and put 20 different reverbs on each of them.
Yeah. But they wanted it to feel more present. And so they took the extra effort.
Yeah.
And also lots of underwater sounds as well.
There was another good blog from the sound designer on their now defunct blog spot about taking underwater microphones and getting really accurate sound. Which for horror is really important. I mean, sound in games in general is important to get right. But for something like this, where it's so atmospheric, it makes sense to put in the extra effort.
Yeah. I do think second to space, I also don't want to go to the bottom of the ocean.
Sure, I mean, probably weirder than space, frankly.
No, I'm more scared of space.
I didn't say more scared, just weirder.
Sure.
I think we actually might know more about local space than we know about under the ocean.
That's fair. But
like with you, concur, to be clear. Just saying, I don't even know. It's hard for me to think about this because I'm not great at airplane takeoffs in normal situations. And so the idea that I'm fine, but like that's my most anxious part of flying for sure. And I can't imagine myself living through a spaceship takeoff.
Sure.
Not on the level of it would fall apart, but on the level of like maybe I would simply have a heart attack and pass away.
Yeah.
But I think once I was in space, much like an airplane, where once I'm in the air, I'm like, it's fine. Planes and Jell-O, basically, all good. I think once I was in space for like my Katy Perry 8 minutes in space, I'd be okay. Whereas under the sea, I feel like the opposite. I feel like going down, fine. Get down there, not okay.
Okay.
No, learn too much. Anyway, both good settings for horror games, obviously.
Yeah.
And the spiritual successor, Ontos or whatever, is set in space. So we'll see. We'll see if they end up... It's interesting that they keep calling it a spiritual successor when it's like, is it really? Or is it just that, like, this is the kind of game the studio makes? That I couldn't get a read on.
Well, it's not an Amnesia, I guess.
Sure, that's true. But they haven't even been making all of those, so... I don't know. I thought that was interesting because it made me think, oh, well, it's set in space, and, like, the end of this game is their consciousnesses get all sent to space, so, like, is this, like, a stealth sequel? Or are you just calling it a spiritual successor because, like, it's also a kind of philosophically oriented horror game from this studio?
We'll
Marketing.
have to see.
Who could say? Are you ready to talk about Soup?
Do you have any last thoughts about Soma? What would you do if you copy your consciousness? Does the Star Trek teleporters, are they the same person after they go from place to place?
So I don't know how the Star Trek teleporters work, right? Are their atoms transported?
I think so.
If their atoms are transported, then I think they are definitely the same person.
Okay.
That feels uncontroversial to me. If somehow they are being more like just uploaded and downloaded, that's a little harder to know. But
would you copy your consciousness and send it off into space to live on?
It would really depend on the situation.
Okay.
That's like today, here, now, no.
Okay.
In this situation, like maybe.
Okay.
For the, perpetuation of humanity. I'm pretty smart.
Okay. Yeah.
I could probably do okay at a space colony.
Sure.
I'd be a valuable person to have around, possibly. So, yeah, sure. I would consider it.
A sleeper.
Yeah, I would sleep.
No, it just reminds me of Citizen Sleeper, too.
Oh, that's true. Yes. I was like, yeah, I would sleep. I'm sure my consciousness would sleep, too.
Would you make a copy of your consciousness to work off your debt for you in space?
Yeah, I was great at Citizen Sleeper. I was so... let's remind everyone again. Everyone was like, oh, Citizen Sleeper's so hard.
You
and it
would
was
be
not
sleeping,
ever hard.
though. Is the thing. You would not be doing the work. You
Yeah,
would
but
be
it's
the
still
sleeping
my
one.
consciousness.
Okay, yeah.
So it would do a great job.
Yeah, and then it would
it
would run away.
That could be
and
happening
leave
to
you
me
sleeping.
right now, and I
That's
wouldn't
what
know.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, on that awesome note,
yeah,
let's talk about Road to Empress. Does not even have a Wikipedia page. Road to Empress. So I know nothing about it. Just kidding.
They really should.
I know. It feels like it's had like a little it's got a little meme community. It's got a very robust TV tropes page. And it's about history. It's basically a textbook.
Yeah. And I don't know. Maybe we can't make Wikipedia about Chinese things.
Maybe I should make the page. Should my 2026 thing be becoming a Wikipedia editor?
Sure.
I don't think so.
Well, anyway, Road to Empress is a Chinese FMV full what's that stand for again? Full motion video.
Yes.
Live action, basically.
Full movie vibes.
Game from New One Studio, released in September of this year. It's technically one of 2 parts. The second one, I believe, is scheduled to come out in February. So look forward to that. I will.
Yeah.
And in it is loosely based on the life of like China's only female empress.
Yeah.
And by loosely, I do mean quite loosely.
It takes the general arc of her rise to power and says, let's tell a story about that.
Yes, it does reference some specific historical events that make up significant sections of it. But then it does also have some creative liberties where it imagines her emotional state. And the second game, the way it ends does seem to be setting up 2 like distinct different routes that you can take, beyond just like the multiple dead ends that you can get as you make wrong decisions in this. So I'll be curious to see how they handle that.
This is a choice-based game, but probably because, well, not necessarily, like there's design choices as well, but like likely restricted by the ability to capture so much pretty high production value live action film stuff. There's not that much branching path to it. There's a lot of you did something wrong and you're dead.
Yes. So there's a whole bunch of choices that you can make. Various ones lead to death or ruin to you. Sometimes you can get like a little normal ending where you do not become the Empress, but do something else cool, like invent refrigeration.
This is not the road to cold food,
I
Emma.
know, yeah. Or become like a cool spy master, or...
This is not the road to espionage.
I know, but just some of the normal endings are funny. But also just a lot of, like, how you can die in various horrible ways. How many ways can your aunt feed you poison soup because you messed up?
Yes. Don't eat the osmanthus soup. I was really bummed to go on Reddit and to see that somebody had already made the connection between that and One Day Blinding Soup. It was already there. Somebody had already made the joke. First thing I thought of when they were like deadly soup.
I had not ever heard of One Day Blinding Soup. So
I'm sorry. One Day Blinding Stew actually is the original meme.
So you'll have to provide context for the listeners.
One Day Blinding Stew is a really funny meme. I mean, it's probably never real. It's probably just something I wish that it was a real thing that had ever happened, but I don't think it is. It's like a flyer. It says how to punish my daughter. There's a picture of the daughter biting hair, and he's like, my daughter is biting hair. I'm a single father, so I don't have a maternal instinct. Moms, like, what do I do? And then there's 4 different iterations of feed her a stew that makes her blind, feed her a stew that makes her go blind for 1 day, stew that blinds her for a day, feed her a type of stew that makes her blind for 1 day, 1 day blinding stew.
Mm-hmm.
So osmanthus soup is that, but death. You get souped, as is the meme, which is really funny. I wish that had historical basis. I'm sure that it doesn't, but I wish it did.
I do think that, so I've not played this myself, but I did watch Remap Radio play the whole thing on stream.
They didn't get invited to be in it. A couple of the big streamers apparently got invited to be in. They invited Ludwig and
funny.
Northern Lion, I guess, to be in the second part, which awesome.
I
can't wait. Hope they're drinking the soup.
I'd be very excited for like Northern Lion to just get a one-liner just randomly in English in the middle of it, and then they just move on. I think that would be good.
Yeah.
But I do think they make use of the like ways that there's so many like dead ends sometimes, in both ways that are comedic.
Yeah.
And also in ways that are like very tragic and heartbreaking.
The bread and then soup thing.
Yes.
It's so funny.
There's an example of Polygon wrote about this game, and they're talking about, like, there's a time you get sent to prison, and then you get, like, oh, you can eat the bread or not eat the bread, and then if you don't eat the bread, you can eat the stew.
So the bread is poisoned. If you eat the bread, you die.
Yes, if you eat the bread, you die.
I don't eat the bread.
And then they bring you stew, and if you eat the stew, you die.
Yeah.
But if you don't eat the stew, you starve, and then you die.
Yeah.
So once you're in the prison, there's no way
escape.
out.
Yeah.
You must go back farther than that. But there's also a point in the story where your best friend, as the character that you're playing as, her lover is going to be executed, and she begs you, because you're so smart and capable and talented, please help him escape. And you can try like 10 different ways to help this guy escape, and it leads to death and ruin no matter what. And so you have to go back and tell her, I can't help you.
Yeah.
And it ruins your friendship forever going forward. And I think that's like a very good use of like the branching that doesn't actually branch, right? It's telling you like, no, this is how it goes.
The structure of this game, by the way, is that you, the character Wu, arrive at court as like a low-level consort of the emperor, and then over the course of these 2 games, as the historical Empress Wu did, you're gonna make your way up the ranks from concubine to Empress to Empress, like I'm the queen next to the king, to eventually like no, like actually the Empress.
Yes. Yeah.
And set in the Tang Dynasty.
Yes. So there's a couple of princes that you can choose to try to encourage relationships with, which is where it seems like the branch comes from.
At the end, one of them is on top.
Yes. There's like a choice that you make, like you can reach out to one of them to help you in the situation you're in, and then there's a choice that changes at the end because of that, in ways that I'm like, you must have so many scenes shot for the second part to cover this. Which is, like, they have so many scenes shot for this. There's a whole, you can choose one of 2 dresses at, like, a banquet thing, and they have all that shot with the main character in one of 2 dresses.
I have to imagine what they're gonna do is the first hour of the game or whatever will branch based on that choice, and then somehow it will kind of come back together. Somebody will die or whatever. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
I have to warn you, this game has microtransactions, listener.
Extremely
weirdest
funny
microtransactions I've ever seen.
Microtransactions. Apparently this is like a thing. But yes, you can go into like the character pages and participate in character rankings, in which you can give the characters you like flowers and give the characters you dislike eggs.
Egg.
And you'll get like some in-game currency just by playing the game, and so you can get like some flowers or eggs to send to the characters that you want, but also you can purchase more so that you can influence who is the most liked or disliked. And you can tell that the gamers suck because the female friend that you lose the friendship of is the second most egged, and that means they have bad taste.
Dang.
Okay?
Get in there with your money, listeners.
We hate a broken-hearted woman.
Save her. Save her from the eggs.
Well, they're separate rankings. The flowers do not cancel out the eggs.
I see.
So I think she's also like the 5th most flowered.
A polarizing character.
Yes, exactly.
Once again, this game makes me a little bummed to live in a country with such a short history.
Yeah.
Anytime we talk about one of these, there's such a...
Well, technically our country has quite a long history.
Okay, sorry. The land does.
The land
You're
does,
right.
Yes.
But anytime we talk about these, there's such a, like, long, wide tradition of, like, retellings of this legendary Chinese history, even just in video games. And anytime we look at one of these, I'm like, oh, like, sick. No one's gonna do this with John Adams, right? It would be cool if there were, like, even reading a little bit about the real Empress Wu, it's like, oh, her climb to power was crazy. She killed one of her own daughters, blamed the Empress, and got her executed. And then she became the Empress, did a bunch of cool reforms, but also had a harem of men. It's like, that's crazy. There's no American equivalent story to that, even a little bit. Like, there's simply nothing. Like, I'm not.
Is Hamilton not in this tradition?
Okay, sure. I mean, yes, Hamilton is in this tradition, and you're right. That's got some good drama there. So let's get the Hamilton FMV game.
Yeah,
with Lynn in it. Actually, that'd be kind of crazy. That'd be kind of wild.
China does seem to be having like a FMV game sort of indie scene situation. I was reading a Eurogamer article that attributed this studio's previous game, which is called The Invisible Guardian, which is not available here, but sounds sick. It's about being like a spy when Japan was occupying Manchuria in the Sino-Japanese War and everything. It sounds sick as hell, and I think that they should translate it and bring it over here.
This game is only voiced in Chinese, incidentally.
Yes.
You have to read your subtitles.
Yes. But apparently that came out and was very influential, and a lot of other people that have since made other FMV games that have slowly been getting translated more and more, although some of them have. Even Road to Empress's translation is like kind of rough.
Yeah.
You can certainly get what's happening, but there's not necessarily like a consistent character voices.
I saw some complaints about how the subtitles were rendered too.
Yes, the presentation of them is also not great. Yes, for sure. The Eurogamer article sort of compared it to like when Japanese games were first being brought over here.
Sure.
There were some that just weren't.
Right, the translation was just not as strong.
Yes, and the translation was not as strong. So there's just like not an understanding on both sides of whether people want this, and so sort of the bare minimum effort is put in. But hopefully we'll see that change, I guess.
How hard is it to make an FMV game?
So, in this article, they were talking with Ding Liang.
That's crazy that I set that up for you so perfectly. Yes, that wasn't on purpose. Go on.
Who works at Tianjin Union Tech Co.
Sure.
Who also makes FMV games.
Cool.
They made like a detective one, I believe.
Okay.
They basically said it's harder than making a digital game, because there's less room for making changes down the line.
Okay, sure.
You have to know what scenes you want. You have to make sure everything's set, that you've covered all your bases of the things that you need. Because if you want to add something or change something later, that means calling everybody back to set.
The reshoot is hard.
And reshooting like a movie.
Yeah.
But it's also harder than making a movie, because your budget is smaller, but also your production timeline is probably longer.
Sure.
So it sounds like it kind of sucks, actually.
But it feels like, not to discredit, you know that I get on this show and I say, how does anyone make a game? Right? But it does feel like, in the grand scheme of making video games, sure, it's harder than making the equivalent game with drawings. But isn't it just stitching your movie clips together? I know there's more. I know that's a dramatic oversimplification. I'm more just thinking, how can I convince all the people that I know that are wasting their money making stupid short films
to make FMV games instead?
To make those as little FMV games.
I mean, if they're already making short films, then yes, sure. But I just think that if you're approaching it from a game design perspective, it offers less flexibility.
Sure, I mean, that definitely
games.
Makes sense.
And if you're approaching it from a movie perspective, it's much more complicated.
But let's say you do a good job. then it should be easy.
Yeah, if you just do a good job and cover your base as well.
Right.
Sure, easy.
That's all I'm saying. The reshoots sound horrible, but just don't need those. Just know what you want the game to be.
These are also, like, they have, like, legitimate, like, part of the reason they're popular is because they get legitimate, like,
the actors are from real
actors.
Things. Yeah.
As well. Who, at least from all the interviews I read, seem very enthusiastic about it, at least, or professional about it, at the very least. Although I do love, in Road to Empress, and its beautiful 4K footage, you can tell that everybody is very cold.
You can see their breath.
You can see their breath all the time. It's very funny.
Couldn't pay for climate control.
No. Even though they do have, like, very dramatic rain and snow scenes, which are clearly made by machines because they're, like, so heavy.
Yeah.
But it's beautifully shot at the same time. You know, it adds to the enhanced drama. But I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I feel like C and K and J and Thai drama have all become quite popular over here.
Yeah.
I mean, we watched Crash Landing on You, and now my Netflix recommendations are overrun.
Yeah.
With Asian live action.
Yeah.
Not even just K-dramas, with all of them. They're like, you probably want all of these.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't be surprised, like, and this seems like it was at least sort of virally successful.
Yeah.
Although, you know, it does not actually seem like it was as successful as The Invisible Guardian, despite being available over here. But also quite cheap for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know how they can sell it for that little, but I don't know, maybe they get funding. Yeah, we like Empresses. I don't know how this stuff works in China.
Me either. No idea what the media funding situation is in China.
They seemed very excited. They were very excited about the Black Myth over there.
Yeah,
that's basically what I know.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if they start seeing that there is a market for this over here.
It really seems like the kind of thing that I know that they've retreated from game or like interactive content to a certain extent, but it really seems like the kind of thing that Netflix should be trying to get in on, like, now.
Netflix has determined that the gaming part of their deal to purchase WB is worthless.
Sure.
It was not a part of their evaluation.
Yeah, well, certainly. I'm just saying, given how surprised they were by K-pop Demon Hunters, given how this is basically just a TV show, ultimately.
Yeah.
With some button presses.
Yeah.
Like, it's the kind of thing that whoever did one of these streaming platforms should go, oh, people really like this type of content, and this is a slight variation on that type of content.
I mean, Netflix sort of tried to do this with their existing TV shows.
Yeah.
And then just stopped.
Is it just that? But see, this game I was gonna say, is it just that everybody watches this on mobile and I'm an insane person and don't do that, really, mostly? But this game is on mobile. So I guess that's not really an impediment. Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, maybe I'm like, oh, I'm a games person, so I want games. But it does feel like, oh, no, there's like such a... don't commission like Western places to do this. I don't think there's proof people want that at this point. But it does feel like the kind of people, not to stereotype, obviously the audience is bigger for this than anyone seemed to have thought at Netflix, but the kinds of people who are already engaging with J-drama or K-drama...
Women!
Sure, I mean women, but also like nerds.
Sure.
Are more likely to be interested in something like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, women too. Women want their story-based games.
I mean, I honestly think that... not to say all of Asian culture is women targeted, but like you brought up K-pop Demon Hunters, and I think part of the reason that was underestimated is because people don't expect girls to watch things for some reason.
Sure.
But they do. And this is just like a cycle. Like every few years there's like a thing released that's for girls, that's targeted at girls, and it's super successful, and people are like, what? Who could have guessed?
Girls.
Girls? But just thinking about all the, like, romantic dramas.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's the last, like, romantic Western drama that's been, like, really big?
Summer I Turned Pretty.
Was that really big?
Huge now.
I believe you.
I don't think the first season was huge, but, like, seemed everywhere this past season.
Okay.
Or rather, I think the first season was huge among a subset of teenage girls, and now adults seem to also be watching it.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's got to be others.
They certainly make more TV shows that seem to be primarily about, like, the romance.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, Heated Rivalry now, right?
Well, of course, yeah.
Yeah. Which, if they made an FMV gay hockey game,
really,
that'd be everywhere.
Gay hockey, truly an untapped market right now.
Apparently. The demand is limitless.
It is. I mean, that's been a thing. This is a whole other time.
Yeah.
But that's been a very untapped audience for
gay characters
years.
On ice.
Is something like Road to Empress just RPF, real person fiction in the end of the day?
What is that?
You don't know? Never mind. Let's do a mashup.
like fan fiction about real people, like that kind of thing?
Yeah.
I mean, sure. I mean, these are not real people, though.
Sure. So there's like a more like once you get like copyright. Once you're dead for a certain amount of time and then 60 years pass, then you can write RPF without it being weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
That's our official statement on the matter.
I'm not weighing in on whether 60 years is the right timeline for that. But, I mean, these are not even really based on... This is like, oh, I heard about someone who lived this style of life.
Right.
And I'm taking the general beats of that. So it's not even really... But yeah, you can write George Washington fan fiction if you want. Why not? What's he gonna do?
It's so true. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Put him on ice.
I mean, that's what Hamilton is, again.
Yeah. Hamilton pretends to be historical, though. So I mean, it is to a certain extent.
That's why it's fiction.
Yeah, but isn't there...
That's why it's real person fiction.
I don't think Hamilton would classify itself that way. Biopic.
Well, that's because they're too pretentious.
Sure, but that's the distinction between...
A biopic is just RPF at the end of the day. Let's do a mashup.
Hot take. All right, here we go. It's got to be live action.
Yep.
It's got to be spooky.
Yep.
Make you think.
I mean, you know what? Road to Empress does have some scary parts. She has a scary nightmare where someone tries to feed her soup.
No.
But yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was going to say, if you could do something existential about soup, that would be pretty good. Pretty good MASH here.
Like, sort of like the cake is a lie type situation.
Or like Soylent Green.
Yeah, I think that's the same thing, basically.
Is the cake made of people in Portal?
It's the same sort of idea. I don't remember the specifics
of
Portal.
There's no way that the cake in Portal is made of human flesh.
It's not made of cake, I'm pretty sure.
Sure,
so.
That's fine.
I just mean the idea is the same.
I know.
Like you live someplace and every day you get soup, but every day some strange things happen and you slowly, as time passes, every time you look at the soup, you start getting more and more suspicious of the soup, either for justified or unjustified reasons. And you have to figure out whether it's all in your head or if there's truly something nefarious going on.
Sure, something like where you're being fed the soup and it hides the real world from people. I feel like there's a young adult fiction that is like this, but whatever.
That's fine.
Maybe this is the ugliest prettiest thing. I feel like they eat things that make them anyway, whatever. Yeah, you take the soup every day and it's like, you know, if the soup is making people happy, even if it's hiding the real world from them, is it wrong morally?
And there's two princes,
right,
with opposing viewpoints on the soup. who you must choose between.
Oh, boy.
This is very young adult. This is very YA.
It would be a hit for that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is, it's just too, I don't know, but we're into the Hunger Games again, right?
Yeah.
If we could get, Josh Hutcherson to continue his Hutchesons, and...
Is he having a Hutchesons? What was he in?
He's in the new, the new Girls, basically.
Oh, okay.
And he's coming back to Hunger Games, so the Hutchesons is real.
How is he coming back to Hunger Games?
There's spoilers, I guess. They're doing the prequel thing movie.
Right, I know that.
But there's a epilogue to that that's a cut forward to Katniss and Peeta happy, and he and Jennifer Lawrence are coming back to do it.
Neat.
Maybe we should just do an FMV that's actors on actors. That'd be kind of neat. I was just thinking of hers. Have you seen all the Leonardo DiCaprio quotes from her? They're really funny. Anyway, he's know what a commercial is. Anyway, it's not helpful for the mashup. Let me try to come up with something that's not soup-based.
Okay.
George Washington FMV.
I do think that there is potential for, this is sort of the, Mononoke movies that are coming out right now, but I do think there's a lot of potential for, either in China or Japan or anything that had, an emperor that had, a harem, or some sort of, inner palace situation.
Sure.
I do think, an inner palace type horror
sure
does have a lot of potential.
You could do an Anne Boleyn body horror thing, probably.
Yeah.
If you wanted it to be Western, if you wanted to be we're doing this one with white people, set ours apart.
But yeah, anything where you have your cage of women.
Sure, and we would call the game that.
Nah, yeah. No. I need some workshopping.
Yeah. You could probably set up, if you want to be really bold, you could set up a future space society with an emperor.
True.
You couldn't call it, you would have to come up with, couldn't be called zombies. Right?
Yes.
But you could probably do that, and that could be kind of fun. Be a nightmare to shoot. You'd have to decide how B-movie you wanted it to look.
Yeah.
If that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Which I do think, by the way, is probably on one hand, the production values on this game are really high. On the other hand, the kind of crappy subtitles or whatever are so in the tradition of the Eastern B-movie situation that you have to think it adds to the camp of it all. So you'd have to decide how campy you want it to be, and if you want them to speak in a made-up space language. So you could subtitle it?
Hell yeah.
I think that'd be sick.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you decide that they don't speak in the made-up space, that could be the first decision of the game. It's does everyone here speak English? Or do they speak Mimura?
I think the fake linguists are always looking for jobs,
Yeah, they'd do it for free.
Yeah, I think that's true.
I think we had some promising stuff here. I don't even know if I want more FMV games, really. Have I ever played one? I don't think so. I hate it in Yakuza.
Well, yeah, but that's because it's creepy.
I know. It's would I enjoy it in a serious sense? I don't know.
FMV does not inherently have to be creepy.
I know it doesn't, but it's hard to detach it from that.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you're proposing harem games, and that is more or less how it's used in...
But you're not playing as the emperor.
Sure. That could be a horror game in and of itself. You think it's going to be fun and hot, and instead managing your harem is a nightmare.
Yeah, true.
So
I do think I do think that first person FMV games would probably be uncomfortable no matter what.
Sure. I mean, you're kind of in it. Yeah. You can figure it out. Look, horror-wise, let's give me some live jump scares. You could probably do it. It just had to be scary.
Yeah.
Well, on that promising note, Listeners, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
Do you hunger for more live action in your video games? Do you hunger for more jump scares or less jump scares? More philosophical dread or less in your horror games? Are there any other empires with harems that we should consider as we put together Cage of Women? If you have thoughts about this or anything else we talked about this week, hit us up on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Blue Sky at Talk This Podcast. You can also visit our website, www.talkthispodcast.com, where you can read all about the show, check out the games in the hat, and read our blog. But most importantly, if you enjoy the show, you ought to subscribe. We're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, Pandora Podcasts, online and on the app, Overcast, Pocket Casts, wherever you can find podcasts. Go ahead and subscribe to Talk This so you never miss an episode. Next week, we're doing 6 weeks in gaming, right?
Yep.
And then the following week, we're going to be recapping our 2025 in gaming. But then, in 3 weeks, what are we going to be talking about?
In 3 weeks, we're going to be talking about Inazuma 11 for our old game.
Okay.
And for our new game, we're going to be talking about Hirogami.
So look forward to that in like mid-January. Crazy.
Yeah. Closer to early January than mid-January.
Late early January.
Yes.
Which feels like it should be several months away. And you know what? That holiday zone coming up, it pretty much is.
Yep.
Listeners, that's this week's show. Thanks for tuning in. Emma, give us a sign off.
This week, I hope that you don't drink the soup.